know that the light is fired on the vessel. Very convert to liquid refreshments are by the alcoholic and alcoholic variety. Tea, coffee, glycerin, lager and draft, biscuits, crisps, etc. All available at the bar, which is situated downstairs behind the wheelbox at the back of the boat. The toilets on these vessels are situated with the first set of doors to the left and to the right. Cluster of buildings that form an L shape. This has been the official residence of the Archbishops of Canterbury since 1229. It's known as Lambeth Palace. Our present Archbishop, Dr. George Carey, is actually in residence here. That's his personal standard that's flying from the White Keep here to the left of us. You should be able to see some new masonry work in the embankment wall, and you should be able to pick it out quite easily. In fact, it's about abreast of the bow now, and that's where the River Thames was breached in 1926, and hundreds of people lost their lives in the area known as Millbank, in the basement houses which used to be in quite abundance in that particular area. On the right hand side is St Thomas's Hospital, founded in Southwark in 1206. It moved to this present site in the middle of the last century to make way for John Rennie's London Bridge. Of the original 7 buildings, only 3 remain, and it's here that Florence Nightingale founded her Royal College of Nursing. On the left hand side, the Westminster Gasworks, so named because of all the hot air that comes out of it on a regular basis. Its official title, the Palace of Westminster, opened in 1815, designed by Charles Barry. The stone carving and ornate scroll work was carried out under the directions of Augustus Puget. At either end of the building you can see the 2 features, the Victoria Tower, which is covered in a plastic awning back here to the left. 336 feet high, which makes it the tallest in existence, as where ballot papers are kept for a year and a day after every general election. The other end of the building is St Stephen's Clock and Tower, that houses the 13.5-ton bell Big Ben that strikes the hour every hour. The bell weighs in at 13.5 tons and is cracked, as are many of the members that appear in that building from time to time. The road bridge, the only bridge spanning the Thames with 7 arches, built from the proceeds of a state-run lottery, opened in 1862. The lamp standards at the top of each abutment were made from captured Russian artillery from the Crimean War. On the right-hand side, as we pass through the arch of the bridge, we'll be passing County Hall, the former administrative headquarters of the recently disbanded Greater London Council, who at the height of their power ruled over a 650 square mile area, what's known as Greater London, with a population of some 6 million people. On the left hand side we'll be passing Britain's first women's right, Queen Boadicea, Hall Palace, Henry VIII's favourite palace, and it's built right on top of, in fact, the banqueting hall from the original palace. This particular building was the headquarters of the Metropolitan Police, their famous phone number, Whitehall 1212. The Green Roof building, white with green roofs, that's the headquarters of the Ministry of Defence. There's as much of that building below ground as there is above it, because the first nuclear shelters built in Great Britain were built here. Waterloo Police Pier on the left as we pass through the arch, one of the only 2 floating police piers in the world, the other one's in New York Harbour. And behind it, the facade of Somerset House. Somerset House was begun as far back as 1547, the year of the death of Henry VIII. It was begun by the Duke of Somerset, the protector of the boy king, Edward VI, Henry VIII's only son. But he didn't get very far in the construction work. He was beheaded for treason in 1551, and from then on all births, deaths and marriages in Great Britain are registered here. Bankside Power Station is ahead of us there on the right. It's St Paul's Cathedral, Wren's masterpiece. It took him 35 years to build. It was completed in 1710. 365 feet high from ground level to the top of the cross. Second largest unsupported church dome in the world. The largest is that of St Peter's in the Vatican City. And you could go on and on. At this stage in time you can't actually see the 5 apostles on top of the arch. But if you wait a little while until we get clear of the red brick City of London School for Boys, to the right of the school you'll be able to see a stone flight of stairs, and at the top of those stairs you should be able to see the 5 apostles. The burial place of many a famous person: Horatio Nelson, Duke of Wellington, and also Wren himself. There is an inscription on his grave which says, "Ye who seek me, look around." This is referring to the 50 buildings or more that Wren built during his lifetime, that stretched from as far downstream as Greenwich and as far upstream as Hampton Court. Well, Wren on the downstream. Over the South Shore Arch, it's a stone flight of stairs, a causeway, which is like a little footpath on the road, on the riverbed that is. This has a preservation order on it because it was used by Wren during the construction of St Paul's. You have to bear in mind that up until 1750 the only bridge spanning the River Thames was the London Bridge, and the only way to get across the river was in a waterman's skiff. Gone to the New World and founded Harvard University. That's Solid Cathedral there on the right. This is the London Bridge. It's one of the umpteenth crossings of the Thames. This particular one was opened in 1972, built of Cornish granite. It replaced John Rennie's fine arch span, which was sold to the Americans in 1970 for the sum of £1 million, which in turn replaced Peter the Colechurch's 19-arch bridge. 35, the HMS Belfast is the cruiser there on the right, laying on a permanent mooring. Launched in 1939 in Belfast by the Harland and Wolff shipyard. It saw active service during the Second World War as an escort vessel on Arctic convoys. On the left-hand side now is the Tower of London, imported from Normandy, built by William the Conqueror. And it has a flagpole right in the middle. It actually flies the Union flag, which has been taken down now. And it has 4 black turrets. Now it's been added to ever since by successive monarchs, having in its day served primarily as a royal palace, as a fortress with a garrison, as a state prison, as an internment camp during the First and Second World Wars. Designs that were submitted to the Corporation of London in 1884. The other 5, in fact, full working models, lie in the City of London Museum. The contract was put out for a bridge to meet several criteria. One was a clear uninterrupted passage across the river for pedestrians. It was made rather nice to the walkways at the top of the Twin Towers. And also the bridge had to cope with traffic coming in and out of the Ball of London. Sailing ships in those days, of course, that's why the bridge is so high and wide. The bascules weigh 1,100 tons apiece and are raised and lowered hydraulically in just 2 minutes. Now, Tower Bridge is the only bridge in the world that's registered at Lloyd's as a ship. It has a captain, a mate and an engineer. Burial place of a gentleman whose name is Captain Christopher Jones. Captain Christopher Jones was the master of the Mayflower, who took the Pilgrim Fathers to America about 350 years ago nearly now. And it's also Rother Isle where the Mayflower was built. And indeed it's also here that the Pilgrim Fathers first boarded the Mayflower and sailed out down the Thames into the estuary down into the Channel and then south into the Atlantic. But they hit hurricane force winds, bad damage was done to the ships, and they had to put back into harbour, into a south coast harbour that is, where they originally sailed again and onto the New World. That's Rotherhithe Old Church ahead of us, the burial place of Captain Christopher Jones.
I think you've got it. Did it break your neck or what?
The so-called Canary Wharf project. That's the Belvedere Tower, the tallest building in Europe. It's just over 800 feet high. And it's always been sung the praises of our government that's been in power for the last 10 years. When he wrote the novel Oliver Twist, Oliver went to work at undertaker's, didn't like it too much there, fled, walked down to London where he met the Artful Dodger, and the Artful Dodger took him to Fagin's lair, which was set in Dock Head. That's Dock Head there on the right hand side, or St Saviour's Dock. You can see the little narrow duckway there. And history tends to repeat itself, and it certainly did in the case of Oliver Twist, because when the musical was made, much of the film work was done up there.
Get a look at the view, just don't turn it around yet. Just turn it around.
I think you get the idea of what I mean by that, making a nice photograph. You can see several of Wren's churches there, one just to the right of the tower of Tower Bridge, the right-hand tower of Tower Bridge. To come and tell me if you have any questions you'd like answered. I'll be only too glad to answer them for you. We're going to steam up back up to Westminster Pier now, and hope you enjoyed the commentary. If you have, perhaps you recommend it to other people. Thanks very much.
The pub in the hotel?
Yeah.
Yeah.